Welcome back to Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. I am your host, Branden Hudson, and I got the lovely...
Just Chet
Right across from me. Guys, this episode is brought to you by Discount Carpet. Where's that at, Chet?
They are located at 358 Snow Hill Road in Salisbury.
Ooh, listen to us sound all fancy. Want a big shout out to Big Lou Amabile. He helped us out with carpets and rugs and stuff like that for the gym, for this podcast room, and this office. So big shout out to Big Lou. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Guys, if you get value out of this, you think somebody else could get value out of this, please share this episode, like and subscribe to our YouTube channels, Facebook channels, all the channels. And we welcome feedback and would love to talk more about what you guys think. Give us some ideas. Mention it in the comments. What would you like us to talk about? What topics would you want us to touch? Please, no politics, because we don't care. And other dumb shit that we really don't care. Do stuff that's really cool. But anyway, how you doing, Chet? What's good, buddy?
Yeah, let's keep it fun.
Yeah. So this is episode number 2 from Champ Talk 2.0, shall we say. And felt really good getting back in the saddle, man. What'd you think?
Yeah, like I was saying, it was strange, but familiar enough that it wasn't too. I'm still digging this though, you know.
Yeah, the aesthetics.
Yeah.
For those that are looking and watching, I want you guys to look underneath of the desk.
Don't be
look
afraid.
At our legs. You know what I mean? Like we're so insecure about our legs and what Chet does with his hands.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Dude,
it's been so funny because
that's where I wore the hoodie with the pocket today, so I could hide my hands.
Play pocket pool with your hands.
No, just hide my hands.
Yeah.
See, there you go already.
I haven't said any cuss words.
No, not a cuss word.
Not gonna have cuss
2
words.
minutes in, and you got to get weird. It's got to make it weird.
You're right, Chet. If this was Chet's Champ Talk, we would be like, "Hi, this is Chet. I'm so happy to be here. This is my happy face. I have one expression all the time. It's monotone. Do you want to learn something? I'll teach you. Great.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, that's why this is Champ Talk with Branden, because Branden has a personality. You know what I mean? You know, you have to have the opposites of the spectrum when you have
spectrum,
people. Yeah, the opposite of the spectrum. Yeah. Just because you say the word spectrum does not necessarily mean autism or anything like that.
I didn't say that. I said, but we are.
I know what you meant.
On the spectrum here.
We are. Yeah. You're one type. I'm the other type. You know what I mean? And you're like the yin to my yang. You know what I mean? I'm the.
Is there any way you could, like, when you edit this, put some kind of like this meter thing, like right here, that goes back and forth, like? That'd be great.
Or do like in the video games, like Tekken, where you have like our energy bar above us. You know what I mean? Where we keep taking shots and see who's diminished the most. But yeah, it's been good, man. Looking forward to getting these out. So, you know, I'm kind of future pacing, but you know, we got a couple under tuck. Big shout out to our boy behind the cameras. He's been helping us out. He's the Mysterious Cameraman. That's what we call him. We don't tell his names because, well, quite frankly, we don't want you stealing him, and we don't want him thinking that he's worth anything to go anywhere else. You know what I mean? We keep him locked away in our GIMP box and make sure that he can't get out. And when we use him, we whip him out for, he's got a ball in his mouth and everything right now. He doesn't even speak. Like, hey, man, can you say something? You can't hear him. He's muffling with the GIMP ball, right? But we pull him out of our box when we need it for Champ Talk. And he comes in, he does the cameras, he does everything. We let him out daily for like a little bit of edited, and then back in the GIMP box where you go. And he seems to like it. He told us that was a part of his contract when we signed up. He said, keep me anonymous. And I want to stay most of my time in the GIMP box. For you, those of you who don't know what a GIMP box is, there's a episode.
And you probably should.
Well, there's a handful of our listeners that do. I know. Wink, wink. But there's a go to Pulp Fiction, and if you don't want to watch the whole movie, which I do recommend, and I don't own the rights to Pulp Fiction, and this is just a shameless plug, but this isn't a shameless plug. But go to Pulp Fiction. There's an episode where Bruce Willis and Ving Rhames, I think I said his name, get kind of in some shit, and they're down in a box, or they're down in the basement, and they pull out a GIMP from a GIMP box, and it's a complete sexual thing. But that's our movie producer. So shout out to him for living in the GIMP box in the Champ Talk studio.
Am I allowed to have water after this again?
Yeah,
okay,
you are.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we got some good stuff coming up this month. Before we get into our topic, dude, we got Little Louie Amabile. We got Big Lou Amabile, who owns Discount Carpet. We got Little Lou Amabile, who is one of SBY MMA and Fitness's up and coming coaches.
But he's like 6 something. He's not that little. Let's
have you seen Big Lou?
I've seen Big Lou.
Yeah, well, Big
I'm
Lou.
actually I'm a little more intimidated by Big Lou than I am.
Bro, Big Lou, let me talk about Big Lou. Big Lou is a man, okay? First of all, I seen Big Lou crying in the crowd when Louis won his last fight, which to me, that represents man all day, right? If you're going to sit here and get emotional because your boy just won a title fight in front of everybody, gosh, man, that speaks volumes to my heart and probably most of the fathers, the fathers that are there, their hearts as well. But then when you see him, he's like, what, 6'2", 6'3", he's a hell of a man. He could retire. He's at that age. You know what I mean? I don't know his exact age, but I know he could retire. And Big Lou will sit here and he'll be downstairs at the gym and grinding. I'm talking about lifting weights, then jumping over to the sled, pushing the sled, hitting the battle ropes. I mean, push-ups, grinding.
And he shakes your hand. You're like, that's a man right there.
Yeah. There's a picture that I posted of Louis' fight where somebody had taken a random picture of it. I think it was our friend Bonnie, I don't know. And I was looking at Lou and dude, I am not the most photogenic person in the world. Every time I take a fucking picture, I look like I am not the gimp in the basement, but remember Sloth from the Goonies? Hey, you guys. I always got that sloth look, like, oh, all right. And I had one of those funny looks, man. And I'm looking at Lou and I said, this is the picture that you say when Big Lou says, you think Little Lou's bad. Wait till you see a picture. Wait till you see me in action or something like that, right? Man, it's just so funny. But I love Big Lou. He's a beast. But his son, Coach Louie Amabile.
Yes.
October 26th.
Stellar fights.
Plans to become the third Salisbury-born MMA champion.
That's the plan.
Which all three have been produced by SBY.
This is true.
Yes. So that's really exciting. We're super excited, super happy. And dude, it's cool to watch Louis' journey. Which is funny about Louis, right? Back to the plug. Make sure you get your tickets. Message us if you want tickets because that thing's almost sold out. But what's funny about Louis is literally Louis came in about 3 years ago and brought his daughter in, Liza, to learn jiu-jitsu. And Liza is like the sweetest little, dandelion of a person. Like she's so sweet, so petite. And she's in here rolling around and grappling. And Louis literally sat there for like the entire 6 months just with rested bitch face on his face. And we're like, hey, man, if you ever want to try, he's like, yeah, I'm good. Which I can understand why. You don't know nobody, and all of a sudden these male instructors are teaching kids, and they're all grappling, and other boys are, choking your daughter out, and all this other stuff, right? And literally he just sat there, and then finally one day he's like, well, I figure if she's going to do it, I should probably try it myself.
Yeah.
So he started trying it, and Miles actually said, you'll be a blue belt in 2 years, which is kind of uncommon for our program. And dude just loves it. So he starts doing jiu-jitsu. And he's falls in love with that, you know what I mean? He gets him out of just the lifting phase. He gets him more, flexible and stuff like that. And he gets good. Then he decides that we're going to go travel and compete in jiu-jitsu. So we go to IBJJF down in New Orleans, and we go to all this. And of course, Louis gets the hardest of the hardest. Like he gets the brackets where he's got like 40 people in it.
Tested,
oh my gosh. And every one of them goes the distance. And I mean, Louis is just a dog, man. I love him to death, and I'm so proud of him, but he is just a dog. So then all of a sudden, this motherfucker just decides that he's just going to show up to fighters practice. And I'm like, have you done any stand-up training? Nah, well, it's all good. So now we're in fighters practice, and dude, he realizes quickly that jiu-jitsu is not MMA. And, he's taking punishment.
He realizes that, it does kind of suck getting punched in the face.
No, he doesn't. He did not realize that. I think he thought that, but I think his mind was like, well, I guess this is how you get better. And I literally told him, I said, you're no longer allowed to spar until you take some stand-up classes. We're not just going to beat the shit out of you.
But it's kind of funny with him because he's like, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? With a lot of things.
Oh, like I love that you said that.
He's like, I just got to do this. And what's the worst that's like, this is going to happen. Okay. Yeah. All right. And he's right back in there. Yeah.
I love that you said that. I'm going to get to that in a minute. So anywho, my man starts taking some stand-up classes. I think he scheduled some private sessions and things like that and started getting his hands right. And then we go down to New Orleans and we compete for an IBJJF. He won it as a white belt. I got second as a white belt. I can't remember. And then we're hanging out and talking, and like typical Branden Hudson on his soapbox, feeling the vibes, talking about my vision and what I want to do and where I want to go and seeing the greatness in everybody. I just start telling them about what the vision is and where the goals are, and what the dreams are for SBY. And he comes back a new man and totally refocused on what he wants out of life. And says that, you know, he's gonna, if he's gonna coach and help out, because, you know, what we do here is, right, like, let me give some backstory. It gets frowned upon in the martial arts world, and especially jiu-jitsu world, when you let blue belts teach classes, right? And I frown upon it. I'm not gonna lie, right? But the difference maker is I've always been a dude that has to make do with what I got, right? We weren't blessed here to have, you know, a room full of black belts or a room full of upper belts to come help build our program, right? For the longest time, I was the highest ranking person in the room. I was the best in the room. For me, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. Now, we've had Miles that was, you know, Miles Moffitt. He's the pioneer of jiu-jitsu. He brought jiu-jitsu to these shores, responsible for so many people. We've talked about him before. But, you know, he's a 3-stripe black belt. He's been doing it for 30 years. You know what I mean? But he's on the NC side of his season, right? As an instructor, as the passion of jiu-jitsu and all that. So for him, our agreement was he'd come in a couple days a week, teach, you know what I mean, and kind of be out, and we figured out. And at that time, we had other dynamics and other people in play that kind of helped build that program. Well, then it came to a point where it was just me, Miles, and Sean McCarthy and Eric Evans. And Miles, again, had this like kind of step back. So I was forced, and again, this is something that people don't really recognize or realize. Dude, our school is only 6 years old. I mean, I've been training in MMA for 15 years and competing. I've had SBY for pushing 10, right? In July it'll be 10, or August it'll be 10 years. But the actual LLC and the actual, you know, real side of the business didn't start until we brokered the deal with Pure Fitness, and that was about 6 years ago. Actually,
yeah, and it's not like you open an affiliate for an established.
Correct.
I mean, pick any school, doesn't matter. You know, Thousands of Gracie schools, or as an example, it could have been something like that, but that's not the case. It's not an affiliate like that where, okay, you open the affiliate and you've got 1 or 2 black belts built in already, kind of deal. So,
correct.
Yeah.
No, yeah, we don't have an affiliate. Well, we do have an affiliation, but he's, you know, Hedges Libre's all the way in San Diego. He's still competing at the highest level. He's got, you know, world champions under him. It's shout out to Hedges. But for us, you know, we had to make do what we didn't have. Make do with what we have. And, you know, Miles has gotten to another business, you know what I mean, where his business was seasonal and started picking up. So it came down to just me and Sean and Eric, you know what I mean, that really, you know, were able to take the jiu-jitsu program and stuff like that. Now, we've had other helps, but I had to put blue belts as coaches and as instructors in play, and I still do, to help those fundamentals and basic classes that we need. And, you know, granted, you tell them to do that, and the next thing you know, the blue belts are teaching, you know, Barambolo and, you know, all the other things that they like to teach, and that's just the nature of the beast. Keep in mind, I was a blue belt when I opened the school and when I owned the school. And so, you know, that's just the dynamic, and that's what our school had and what we had to focus on to be able to grow, because, you know, we don't have many instructors here. The only instructors we have here, I would say, is myself, Miles, Coach Sean, Coach Eric, and Coach Dante. Because to me, an instructor is a seasoned coach, seasoned discipline, seasoned competitor, things like that. We have coaches. And the crazy side about that is, yes, the material isn't as advanced, but we don't need to be that advanced. For me, it's up to the purple belts, in my opinion, and brown belts to go out and bring stuff in. And even your higher level blue belts that, you know, like, you know, Coach JP and people that are stay on the mats or in love with this, you know, that's, if you guys want to get better, go out and get it. You know, we have what we teach here, but jiu-jitsu is a vast discipline now.
And it's crazy too, because I mean, and I've been around it a while, and I can say, looking at purple belts that we have, brown belts that we have, I mean, you go some other places and they've got the experience and knowledge that their black belts will have. And that's just the way it is. And I'm sure other places, they're going to say you're going to have less, because it's a very subjective thing. And I mean, and you hear it all the time, and academy owners talking about it and their take on it, and what belt level should be doing this or shouldn't be doing this. And if you're at this belt level, you really shouldn't have opinion on A, B, and C, but it's okay if you have an opinion on. So again, really subjective kind of thing. But I think it's pretty obvious when the knowledge and the experience is there, and especially when you're dealing with a lot of entry level, first year, second year people. You can do that. You can do that with the basics.
Do what? Be more specific.
You can have the blue belt instructor, or even coach,
yeah,
or a purple belt coach. If you're trying to grow that, you say with a young school, you need to instill those basics and fundamentals. You can't do anything else. It ends up
you
very
can't do what you can't do.
Sloppy and diluted if you don't.
Yeah, you can't do what you can't do, and that's the dynamic that we had. And still, we're starting to get that first wave of upper belts. You know what I mean? So that's the dynamic that we had.
Plus, if you're just talking about technique and you're just talking about the game or the art of jiu-jitsu, that's one thing, but it goes deeper than that. It's something that I know because I'm here.
And there's so many layers to it. Like, you have so many layers to martial arts. And I don't want to make this a martial arts. I have a point where I'm getting at with all this. But what happened was, for Louie, as a blue belt, and he started off the way he started, watching his daughter, tried out jiu-jitsu, started loving that, started doing fighters practice and kind of evolved, started taking privates and evolved, and then got to a point where he said after that time he went down in Narlands and went to IBJJF, he said, you know what, I want to compete and I want to be a part of the longer vision of SBY. And he said, and I said, well, why? Because I always ask my guys why. Why do you want to fight? Why do you want to get in the cage? That's what he wants, to compete in the cage. And he said, well, if I'm going to be a coach, and I love that aspect of it, this is why Louie got to the cage and why he's fucking 3-0, why he's about to be the next champion in SBY. He said, if I love that aspect of it and I'm going to be a coach, I think it's important that I have that experience so that I can transmute that to our students coming up.
Yep.
And to me, that was like, yes.
Yep.
Yes. That's a beautiful why. And now, you know what I mean, what we've seen with our blue belt dynamic, yeah, we're still gaining that traction. I don't think we're not a world-class gym. I'll be the first to tell you, we don't have guys that can go to the UFC right now, or even some of the promotions underneath of that. But that's not our dynamic, dog. Like, our dynamic is amateur champions. I can get you an amateur champion, been proven. Get you wins. I can get you wins. We can win jiu-jitsu. We can win all that stuff. Get you to a point where you get to that. We're at that first wave where now we're starting to have a handful of guys and gals that have been with us for a while that can now pour back into the program and help build that. And to have a why like that from Louie just speaks volumes of his leadership and volumes of his selflessness on how he's giving and doing things for the program and reaping the rewards from it. So,
and he doesn't. While he's in camp the whole time, he's still doing these things.
Oh, he's still coaching. He's still doing one-on-ones. He's still got a job.
Yep.
He's still doing all the things. He's still a father. He's still a fiance. He's all the things. He does all the things, and it's so impressive. And I'm so excited for him. I'm so ready, and he's dialed in. And we're still we're still about a week and a half away from him really peaking and getting to where he wants. So it's going to be right on time. His time is going to be right there. And, man, it's going to be a great, great night. So, shout out to Big Lou Amabile for hooking us up with the carpets and for just being a good staple and supporter of SBY and his son. Shout out to Little Louie, Little Louie Amabile, the one-eye buffalo. The what else? Because he's putting in that work and he's showing the core values and representing what SBY looks like. And that kind of segues me into what I wanted to talk about today, and something that I've been struggling with here as of recent. This has been a fucked up year for me, man. This has been a fucking crazy year. And it's not been a bad year, right?
But shit's been weird.
It's been weird, dude. It's been weird. It's been demanding. It's been a lot. For me, I've got a toddler who'll be 2 years old the day after Christmas. My wife went through, the whole pregnancy. We were blessed to go through IVF and be successful at that. So she went through the whole hormonal exchange for the year, almost a year, up until she became pregnant, which if anybody's been through that, you know what I mean? God bless you. And I empathize with every woman and man that go through that, because it's a whole different thing that most people don't realize is a thing. We had that. Then she got pregnant. So you had that whole, which my wife did a great job of being a pregnant wife. She like loved every moment of it, but she still was a pregnant wife, and that stuff can be challenging for every man. And then we had, not to make it about myself, but and then we had, fast forward to that, we had switched over software CRMs in our gym space, which is a hell of a fucking task.
More than you
realize
what
can understand.
It's not flipping switches and it's all done.
No. If anybody's dealt with a CRM change, that's your customer management system. That's a lot, and you never win until it's all done. We made a couple hires, which you became an official hire. This year we hired Andrea, we hired Owen. We had the demand over at the Maryland and Delaware group. The EXP Realty has been claiming. I've spoken on stages across the country now, which has been different and new. I've literally been on a plane. And this might sound some normal to most people, but this wasn't normal to my dynamic. Out of all this, running multiple businesses, we put on a couple shows. We've got competitors every quarter. Yeah. Dude, out of running a multiple businesses and all that, I've been on a plane and out of town literally every single month since like February or March. It's been insane.
Where's Branden? He's on a plane.
Yeah. Which I hate.
He's between here and Dallas, I swear.
Which I hate, you know what I mean? Because I love it, but it's like it's the necessary evil that you have to do to be able to get better. Like for instance, like a lot of it was with this group I'm with Apex, right? Ryan Stewman's group, and had I not, Brandon Brittingham recommended them to me when I was looking for a personal coach, and had I not taken him up on that recommendation, you know what I mean? Which when you're at a guy like at Brandon's level, you know what I mean? If they tell you to, they give you a recommendation, you fucking do it. You don't sit back.
Pretty much know what they're talking about.
Yeah. In the space that you're in the space that they're in. I'm saying, hey, Brandon, I need a coach. I need somebody to hold me accountable. I'm the smartest one in the room. I need some ins and outs. He's like, well, why don't you just join Apex? And I'm like, is that one of them fucking pyramid scheme, nothing against it, but he's like, fuck, no, it'll kick you out. Anyway, he gave the recommendation. I joined it, and it's been a very good thing, but it's also a commitment. You have to, travel quarterly to go there. I've had opportunities to speak on their stages. I've had other opportunities to speak because of that. You know what I mean? So it's given me more, and then the sides of business and sides of how to run a business, structure a business, how to all the things, man. It's such a. I'm not giving a shameless plug, but if you're looking to grow your business or looking to grow you as a person personally, you know what I mean? Reach out to me. I'll let you know about it. I don't get paid off of them. I don't endorse them. I just believe in them. I've been with them for almost 4 years. But it's been a demand. It's been a huge demand this year. And then you add all the, internal shit, the external shit, you're always dealing with somebody talking shit, you know what I mean? And
it's way more than you even realize when you sit down and start thinking about it. When you start compiling that list in your head, that mental list, it's like,
you're right.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
You're right. Now that I'm unpacking all this shit, it's like, fuck, man, it keeps going and going and going, man. I'm like, maybe I did more. Maybe I need to talk to a therapist. You know what I mean? I don't know, man, because it seems like you're right. Yeah. It's a lot. But where I'm at with all that, what I'm alluding to with my long drawn out story, is it's just been a lot, man. And then we've had some shit, man. We've had some, we've had people leave the gym, you know what I mean, for whatever reason. We've had, you get your little, your constant little, digs and hate and comments that you see from other people online, whether it be, from competitors or whether it be from, you know what I mean. And look, I'm the first one to say, right, when it comes to that type of shit, like I'm a fucking old school alpha dog. Like I'm not one of these guys that are just gonna lay over them. I try to ignore as much as I can, but when I gotta, stick up for myself or speak the truth or whatever, I do that. And I may have made some mistakes along the course. I'm willing to admit maybe some things I should have not said, maybe some ways I should have handled differently.
But this is how we learn.
But nevertheless, man, it's just been a lot. It's been a lot, man. And, you add my kids and my daughters and all of it, man. It's just grandkids, family. It's been a lot. And where I'm going with all this and what I had as a revelation, I have been fucking up I have been making such a critical mistake with how I should be operating. And it's hard to even admit out loud, let alone, on Champ Talk where millions of people tune in. But it's just one of those things, man, where, at the end of the day, it's something I have to be honest with. And it actually hit me yesterday or Saturday, like a ton of bricks. And I share this so maybe you guys can relate, but I have been getting away from gratitude and getting away from being grateful and thankful for all things. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, you hear that all the time, and that's such a cliche type of thing to say, and bop, bop, bop. Okay, well, let's unpack this a little bit, right? It's easy for me to say, or easy for any of us to say, be grateful and be thankful, or even one step further, I should be thankful for what I have because I'm in the thick of things right now, right? But the minute you say that, most of us are like, I should be thankful for what I have, great, and then we turn right around and 10 minutes later, we get a text or we get a phone call, we walk into some shit, and we're right back to the same headspace we were in, right? We're still distracted. We're still looking at all the things that we wish we weren't ungrateful for, back to where we were. He did this, she did that, this ain't working, I didn't make that, I didn't do this, all of the things, right? So it's easy to be in that space and say, yeah, I should be grateful for the things that I'm doing, but you don't know about my story because my story is so much different and so much more special than everybody else's, right?
Do you think you get in a place, too, where it becomes such a common practice, an everyday or weekly or however you express your gratitude, gratefulness, like that it becomes not something super special? It's not the flashing light that's going off in the corner of your eye it's the reminder that you're kind of cruising through, and it's like, yeah, however you express it, however you do it. Some people, pray morning, noon, and night. Some people they read affirmations. Some people just have a conversation with themselves. All of these things that we know about and different methods and ways of doing that. Do you think maybe that you become complacent in the sense that, yeah, I'm a grateful person. I'm expressing gratitude.
Great.
But are you really? Are you staying on top of what? And I don't know that that's the case.
No, dude,
but
it
just makes me wonder if that's why it might seem like it's diminishing or it's less than it has been.
That is great. That is a great point, dude.
Because I know you do talk about it more
Yeah.
than a lot of people, and you do practice it more than a lot of people I know. So I'm just wondering, as you're saying this, maybe it's because it's been here that when things come to light or you're picking up on it, that maybe that's why. Anyway.
No, dude, you're spot on with that, dude. Great point and question. Yeah, because I have this app. It's a G Code app, and it's something you record. You get 4 points a day. Again, another Apex thing. Ryan Stewart created it. Nobody has to sign up for anything. It's free. I think it's join the G Code Challenge .com, but it's this app where you record. Did you work out today? Did you
No.
stick to a diet? Did you
No.
violation? Did you what 5 things are you grateful for? And you can only score 4 points a day, right? But the purpose of it is to create habits and create daily consistencies. And if you could do something as small as that, we know this expression, small hinges swing big doors, then you can do things bigger and greater than yourself and add those to your plate. So for me, right, I do that. One of the things that I asked and you get a point for is, what are 5 things you're grateful for, right? And if you don't get it within that day, you lose your streak, right? So I think I'm up to like 3,600 points for this app in like 3 or 4 years, almost 4 years, which defines not that I'm special, I'm awesome. It just that's how consistent I am in life. I'm super consistent, right? But to your point, yeah, it gets very redundant because most of the things that I talk about that I'm grateful for are literally the same 5 or 6 things. Whatever 5 things I'm grateful for. It's like usually I'm grateful for God, my kids, my family, things that and the third. It does get redundant if you're not consciously seeking out gratitude and consciously asking God, Allah, the universe, whatever you pray to, seeking out for things to be grateful. So it's easy for us to say, like I was saying, oh yeah, man, I need to be grateful for where I'm at. You're right, and then boom, you get hit right back in the mouth.
Or you're finding that gratitude in things that you don't really expect to, like you get, that you think about. Situation, a phone call today, actually yesterday, and then another one today, and somebody asking for, I'm not going to get details, but somebody asking for help, and I think it's like, well, in a way, this is kind of a pain in the ass, but then I think about it, it's like, well, it's helping me with something else, so I should, it's like, say finding that, like kind of being pushed into it versus even seeking it out. So there's those situations too.
Yeah, 100%. And
usually that was clear as mud, I know. But
well, I know what you're saying. I'll try to help clear it up a little bit. Yeah, because usually what happens is you get punched in the dick with that kind of example. It's like, okay, you know what I mean? Oh, here's a good punch in the face of a reminder. This is why you should be grateful. You know what I mean? You know, somebody, I mean, God.
Not even that so much as in the situation. That's what I found in that. I was like, well, you know what? This could be a good thing too. And it's reminding me of other things. I'm like,
be more specific.
It's, but just something that I realized, instead of going, wow, this is a hindrance. This isn't, this takes away from this rut that I'm used to, but I should be grateful because it's going to allow me, and not force me, but allow me to do some other things. Because I could say force me to do that, but I kind of need to do this anyway. So maybe this was the phone call that I needed for some reason.
Yeah.
And who knows why, but finding the gratitude in that versus going, oh man, it's one more thing I got to deal with.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good practice.
Just a mindset thing.
Yeah, I think it's a good practice. The part that I fell victim to, and I think a lot of us fall victim to, is we know that. We're conscious that that's what we should be doing. We're conscious that we should be having gratitude and being grateful for the things that we're going through, the phone calls we're getting, and allowing us to do things, not forcing us to do things. But for me, what's happened this year is I've just been so stuck, so just caught up in the quest for greatness, caught up in the journey to grow businesses, caught up in the journey to personal development, caught up in the shit that's going on with the politics of the gyms and politics of outside entities, trying to make a living. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest, like that's one of the biggest stresses that people, and especially Americans, face, is trying to make a living. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? My wife went to work, didn't go to work, you know what I mean? Went to work again, you know what I mean? Based upon our dynamic and what was best for our family. So, that does, no matter what, add more to the plate and more responsibility when you're picking up and you're the caretaker, and you're picking up the tab or picking up the responsibility and you're the caretaker. So that's the thing, is we know all these things. We know we're supposed to be conscious of gratitude. We know that we're supposed to be grateful, but we still, at least for me, get caught up in the minutia of the day-to-day, the dramas, the ins and outs. And what really spawned this conversation and what spawned this idea, and what's really been a huge eye-opener for me, is, this is when I need to be most remembering of where I was when I didn't have these problems, quote unquote. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that's what I think, that's one of the separators between saying I need to be grateful or thank God this happened for me and not to me, to, motherfucker, you remember when you were in that jail cell? You remember when, at the time, your fiance left you and how you felt? You're complaining about your wife now and the things that she's mad about because she wants to see you become a better human, and you forgot about, the time that, you were alone, right? And going through that pain. Do you remember when you came home and you literally made $350 for your first month home, and your bills, your overhead was around $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000? You remember that second month when you only made $650 that month and your bills were $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000? It was remembering those times that when we were in the lows of our lives and in the struggles of our lives, how we not only got through them, but overcame those adversities, and how we pushed ourselves into that next step, that next level, and then what that looked like then. Each level has its own devils, right? So when you accomplish one level and get the, let's go back to jiu-jitsu. I got my white belt. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, is walk into a jiu-jitsu gym and do combat sports and get smashed, and it have nothing to do with my strength. It had all to do with technique. And, you got some 16-year-old kid just walking the dog with me, as a grown man, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get past the white belt phase and you start getting better. Now you're a blue belt, right? And then all of a sudden you become a blue belt, and you're in theory the king of the white belts, but now you're the rookie of the blue belts, right? And that level has its own devils. And then as you go blue, purple, brown, and black. It's one of those things where once you overcome that adversity and once you grow past those troubles and triumph over that, now you can have a story. And this is another example. Like, I don't like to make it a point about my story that I talked about 5+ years ago.
Yeah.
In other words, it's no secret that I'm a convicted felon, and it's no secret that I, was convicted of distribution. And that's what was the spark. That was what the igniter of me changing my life and creating this whole different universe that I'm in now. I was a losing, most people know the story. I was a losing amateur fighter. I, didn't have any real skill or talent like a trade. You know what I mean? And I had all these adversities and came home as, convicted felon, all this,
But now you like to pick the story up, the chapter after that.
Well, that's the thing is, I don't want to go back to that.
Right.
Correct. I don't want to say, well, you remember that time I used to sell drugs back in the day? You know what I mean? That's why I'm here, because now I'm just reliving in the past, and we've already told that story. We've already told that story. We've already slayed those dragons. We've already overcome all of that shit that we had to go through. And not just when I mean shit, I'm talking about the mental reprogramming of what a gangster in that world for almost 20 plus years had to rewire his thought processes, his thinking. Dude, I mean, we're 10 years out. I still watch Who's Follow Me and see how, you know what I mean? Like, I still have these
right.
things, right? Size up a room and, make sure I got the exits and I'm in the corner. And, you know what I mean? Like, all these little things that still plague me from that lifestyle, right? But that's not what I want to talk about anymore. Now I'm more focused on how to, that's like when the first level of personal development is positive thinking, right? And we all got to think positive, and you hear it everywhere. Well, we don't talk about thinking positive anymore in the gym, because that should be an automatic, right? Automatically, you need to just be positive and look at the brighter side, because guess what? We're on a whole different wavelength now. We're talking about leadership development. We're talking about scaling businesses. We're talking about, becoming world champions. We're talking about all these other things and focus on all these other things that are no longer first level of personal development, right?
It's almost when you get when the negativity does come out, you almost get a weird look, like what's wrong with this person? or you see the trauma in people immediately, right? Yeah.
Once they start spitting that negative shit,
you identify it very quickly.
Correct. And that's not just me. That's a lot of our people that we're around. That's the beauty of SBY MMA and fitness, is we're not just doing combat sports over here, people. We're doing leadership development. We're doing personal development. We're creating leaders at that gym. And this isn't a plug. This is what I represent. That's just like the Maryland and Delaware group of EXP, right? We're not over there just creating fucking realtors and successful realtors. And you're seeing this right now as having hands-on. Dude, we're creating other leaders and other successful people. Define success as you will, right? Success, your definition of success, I can guarantee, is not the same as mine, right? Mm-hmm. But they're both success, right? They're both what, we're striving for that ultimate trophy. So at the end of the day, when you're looking at, when you fit gratitude in that, the gratitude comes from a place where you're saying, hey, remember when you didn't have none of that shit? Remember that person that was not very happy with himself, had imposter syndrome, wasn't really in a space where you thought that you were good enough or you could even achieve it, or you were so driven and so hell-bent on, I'm not going to listen to anybody tell me I can't do this because you're just fueling my fire, right?
Or even some cases, people, you had all of this and you still were miserable. Oh, and now you're in a different space, and that's because of some change in your thinking.
Yes. That's the part where gratitude comes into play, where it's like, oh shit, I got to remember, I'm one or two poor decisions, one or two bad months, one or two catastrophic personal events that could align, right? That could put me in a space where it's all gone, and I'm back to that old motherfucker that I'm so fearful of and running from and been trying to create. Yeah. That's not me. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, do I?
Yeah. And, so that's what was really coming to the forefront for me when it comes to this conversation about gratitude. Is like, dude, I just got to go back to remembering, like, dude, you remember what it was like. You remember what it was like. Like, my youngest daughter's about to graduate private school, dude. Private school. That was never an option for my oldest two daughters. And I'm not saying that's the way or not the way. That was the way for us. That's what my daughter Trinity needed. She needed a different change of environment and rewiring of thinking so that she could succeed.
And look how she's,
bro.
I mean, grown, succeeded, prospered.
She's the fucking school president. Trinity, who didn't want to be in front of nobody, is doing speeches now. It's incredible, man. You know what I mean? So, and again, this is
and shit she's been through, and I mean, and ultimately, her parents went through.
Correct. So it just goes to show you, man, that wherever there is a negative, a positive, you can't have one without the other. And wherever you can find gratitude doesn't just come from the whole I'm thankful. Gratitude comes from go back way back when you wasn't shit. And when things sucked, and when one of the things I say, for instance, to like a 3-month white belt who just started, right? Is I'm like, I bet you Chet could beat that 3-month-old Chet up that walked through the door back then, can't you? Now they're like, oh, I can, dude. I would destroy that guy. I said, well, you still suck, you know what I mean? But you don't suck bad as you did 3 months ago. Go back then and remember that part of you, and that part of you where you were in that space that you forgot because you're so caught up in the day-to-day and so caught up, I love what you said, getting hung up on the dots, so to speak. There's a great, I stole that great saying, when we get hung up on the dots, we can't move on to the next chapter. So it was, it's been something that, I had to own and I had to grow from and realize that, dude, that's where I've been fucking up. That's where I've been making the mistakes of all the things. And regardless if it's a major issue or a minor issue, it's my issue. And it's my issue. It's holding me back from being able to grow. And now that I know that, now that I'm conscious of it, now that I'm aware of it, if I don't do anything to change that, I'm an asshole. If I don't do anything to change that, I'm a poor leader. I'm a poor example of what leadership and what, in my opinion, a man's supposed to be.
It's an internal case of guilt by association. Like you can't unknow it.
Yeah,
you've recognized it. You can't unknow it.
Facts.
And then the first person you mention it to, now you got to, because
now
you're an asshole.
Yeah. Now I'm held accountable. So I wanted to share that with everybody, man, and kind of touch on that. You know what I mean, and just kind of give you guys just a little leg of hope. I know we talk about some cool stuff on Champ Talk, and some weird stuff, but I want to always deliver some value to you guys. And if you guys got value out of what we talked about today, and if you think that somebody else could use that or whatever have you, man, like and subscribe to channels. Go to our YouTube page, Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. Give us a review. Go to Spotify. I think we're still on Apple. I don't know. Somebody said that one of the platforms changed up, but we got to look into all that. But like us on Facebook. Check us out, man. You know what I mean. We want these podcast episodes to be shared for people to be able to help them. We don't get nothing from this. You know what I mean? We just get on here. I mean, me and Chet talk enough, but we just get on here and we love to share the messages and share the things that we see and hopefully help others relate to it and grow their businesses and, just be better community, be better people. But that's it. That's another edition of Champ Talk with Branden Hudson. We want to thank you guys so much. Again, like and subscribe to channels, message us, give us some feedback on what you guys think that we should talk about or where we could improve or what you guys want to hear. But what are you guys doing today to become a champion?